Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of our shooting program, and welcome to today's show. Yes, friends, spring is here, and it is great. I promise you, it is so nice out today. We're so glad you can join us. We have some things I think you're going to be entertained by today, and hopefully you'll learn something too. We want to welcome all the new viewers, the new shooters to our program, because you'll get a chance to see our concept as shooters and normal Americans as how we handle and treat these firearms. Well, we have our 7-shooter Smith & Wesson here, but how about a 14-shooter Smith & Wesson and .357 Magnum? Well, just get 2 of them. Simple thing. See what it looks like. I think we got a couple left. Well, friends, we're going to look again today at the Ruger P95 decocker that we featured on the program a couple of weeks ago when we were indoors with our storm going on. Anyway, this is a very important gun from Ruger because it has the new polymer frame. In fact, it is a whole new chemical compound, in fact, that Ruger and I believe Dow Chemical, I stand to be corrected, but one of the major chemical companies worked in conjunction with Ruger on this. And as we showed you, the Glock type guns have, such as this Glock Model 19 right here, have a very small steel or some sort of metal, I guess it's steel, inserts in their frame that the slide runs on. Whereas the P95 just has a large standard frame, looks just like the aluminum frame, in fact, on their other semi-automatic pistols. And the folks at Ruger ran a 20,000 round test on the P95 with plus P plus 9mm ammunition. And at the end of 20,000 rounds, they took it down, they examined the frame, had no measurable or appreciable wear at all, and they said, well, why continue? What's the point? Because there was just no wear on the gun. This may be one of the most durable semi-automatics to ever come along. I would really like to see a contest between the Glock and the new Ruger on which one would hold up longer. The Ruger has several advantages personally that I like, one of which is made here in the United States, but that's not reason enough to designate it a better gun, tell you the truth. But it has several things going for it that I really like, one of which is the Ruger comes with a steel magazine. Some of the folks are not that crazy about the Glock magazines, and I saw on a write-up a few days ago, typically when a Glock magazine is fully loaded like this one is, this one has 10 rounds in it, I think, see, it won't necessarily drop free, whereas the Ruger, the steel magazine, fully loaded magazine, it'll drop right out. If you want to change magazines, I think that's an excellent feature. The Ruger appears to be a very strong, robust gun. It has the trigger mechanism that we're familiar with on the other Ruger semi-automatic pistols. It is a much more conventional trigger feel, say, than on the Glock. And I don't know what this will be worth to some of you not, but the Ruger will also give second strike capability. This is the decocker. You can get the double action only, which would be the equivalent of the Glock, which is sort of a double action only, because the Glock, instead of hammer, you have a striker system. It is partially cocked, and then when you pull the trigger, it finishes cocking and releases the striker there against the primer of the bullet. Well, if you get a misfire on a Glock, and yes, misfires do happen, what you have to do is you've got to cycle that action again quickly. And on the Ruger, if you wanted to, I suppose, you do have the option, you got a misfire, of taking another strike at that cartridge. Now that's going to be worth something to some of us, to others it's not. Most of us, if we get a misfire, we're going to want to eject that round and go for a new one. So that is an option, though, that some people think is important. It is certainly there. I like the trigger mechanism a lot better on the Ruger. One other little thing, the Glock has sort of an exaggerated grip angle here, whereas the Ruger P95, guess what, has the same grip angle as on the 1911 Colt. This is John Browning's idea of a proper grip angle, and we'll take a look at the advantage of that in just a moment. But to me, the Ruger is much more comfortable in the hand. Now, let me tell you what, the Glock 17s, the 9mm Glocks, have a very fine record. A lot of people out there have these guns and they like them. Well, I say good for you, because I think you ought to shoot and enjoy and own whatever you like. I think that is very important. And the Glocks have been they have established a very fine service record, especially in the 9mm chambering. There have been some difficulties with some of the other chamberings, but I think that's probably just teething problems. One thing in talking with some of the shooting schools around the country, the Glocks have a very, very hard barrel. It is metal tempered apparently to a very, very hard level there. Now the good news is they don't wear very rapidly. I mean, these Glocks will just shoot and shoot and shoot. However, and we do want to make a little word of caution here, we are hearing that for some of those folks that shoot a lot of cast lead bullets in the 9mm, if you get some lead buildup in your chamber on the Glocks, and some of the SIGs too, if you get some buildup there in the chamber, these guns can fire a little earlier than they should have, and they have had some problems on account of that. That's passed along to me by a couple of different other people in the industry. I didn't make that up. I got that from a couple other sources. But there's always a need, whatever kind of semi-automatic pistol you have, there's a need to keep them clean anyway, because the typical semi-automatic functions a lot better when it is clean, especially that chamber. You really do need to work at that. But the Glocks have a tremendous service record, and again, if that's what you like, but I'm so pleased to see Ruger come along with a modified concept. They have the polymer frame. It's very lightweight. In fact, there's only several ounces difference between the Glock and the Ruger. And I tell you what, this P95 is almost identically the same size as the Glock 19. And you really get full-size performance, but a more compact design. It's a little easier, a little simpler to hide or conceal if you have a concealed carry permit, or if you're a police officer, just because due to sheer size of the P95 versus the full-size Ruger. Well, let's take a look at, I'll show you one more thing. Another polymer frame gun. This is a Tech 9. And honestly, a lot of us didn't think too much about these guns when they came out, but you know what? They're pretty darn good guns. Now, they're a strictly blowback situation, and the only reason someone would want a gun like this, one, they're less expensive, say, than one of the smaller handguns, but the Tech 9s are a pure blowback design, so they're not going to be able to withstand the cartridge pressure, say, that a Browning type locking arrangement would. The Glock and the Ruger too, for that matter, are a modified Browning locking system, and where the barrel actually locks up into the slide. Now then, this is a pure blowback, and that's one reason it has to be so large. Your bolt and all has to be so large because it is a pure blowback. These guns are fun. They offer no advantage. In fact, they're probably not as fast on one. Here's your safety up here, your bolt on top of your carrier there, on top of the receiver, and it's not going to be as fast to get in action. I suppose the advantage that one of these would have would be maybe visual effect. If you feel like you have to stand down a gang or something like that in your neighborhood, visually, for people that aren't that familiar with guns, these have a sort of an impressive appeal, I suppose. For those of us who are very familiar with guns, we say, well, so what? You know, there's no advantage in having 30 rounds if you can't hit what you're aiming at. And these guns, this was one of the pre-band guns with looks like about a 30-round magazine. Actually, the Tech 9s function pretty well. You know, they didn't have a lot of recoil. Get my hearing protection in, and they're easy to shoot. But heck, I think it actually has more recoil because of that bolt coming back. Watch the little Ruger in recoil. See, just not much recoil at all. So I think you can probably shoot one of these handguns, smaller handguns, or you want to call this a handgun, quicker than the Tech 9s. Although, believe it or not, these were pretty fair guns. This was, again, a case of a polymer type frame, but a whole nother concept. Well, let's look at how important that grip angle is. Now, friends, what do Jim Clark Sr., K. Clark Michalik, Jerry Michalik, and Jim Clark Jr. have in common? You can find them all at Clark Custom Guns in Princeton, Louisiana, one of the finest custom gun shops in the entire country.
They offer all sorts of custom packages on 1911s and other semi-automatics, from race guns to custom carry guns. They also offer a bushing for your 1911, which will greatly increase the accuracy. They also offer a number of different custom packages for the Ruger 1022, and also have some very economically priced new 1022s in stock. Clark Custom Guns also has a good stock of Ruger Security 6s in blue and stainless at good prices. Clark Custom Guns offers some of the best revolver packages available anywhere, including action jobs on your Smith & Wesson or some other fine revolvers. In addition to custom work, they also have a completely stocked gun shop, anything from bullets to powder to accessories that you might want. Clark Custom Guns has one of the finest range facilities in the entire country and offers some shooting classes. You need to call for availability. Friends, it's certainly good for the shooting show, but good for yourselves when you call and get a Clark Custom Guns catalog. They have all sorts of things listed about their products and services and excellent prices. Give them a call. Area 318-949-9884. Again, 318-949-9884. Clark Custom Guns, the complete custom gun shop. Give them a call today. Tell them you saw it on the shooting show.
Now, friends, here we have our Ruger and our Glock, and of course the target out here at about 10 yards or so. Now then, the Browning concept, as I see it, was to literally be able to point the gun as you point your finger. Now, this is really important. We've discussed this before. On the Ruger, which has the Browning type angle, notice that your finger is, when you properly grip the gun, is parallel to that barrel. See, parallel to that barrel. So it makes hitting your target out here, see your front sight lines up there just like you're pointing your finger. It makes it easy to in fact hit your target. Now then, on the Glock with the more exaggerated grip angle, notice how the finger points down due to the shape of the grip. And I was in the Glock office in Smyrna, Georgia some time ago, and I visited with those folks, and I asked them about why not change the grip angle. They said, well, the mold was already set the way it was, and they were just going to kind of leave it alone. And they are very good guns if, in fact, you get used to the concept. But see, at night or in an emergency, if you had to use the gun quickly, we many times will revert to natural instinct, and that's to point and see where our finger's pointing. If I point at the target, see where that front sight is? You have to consciously bring the front sight over and more like point with your thumb, like on some of the revolvers that we've talked about in the past. So you're more or less pointing with your thumb more so than with your first finger. And the first finger is going to be more natural to point with than your thumb. A lot of police officers, when they get excited, they're going to point like so, and look where they're going to shoot. They'll shoot up here somewhere, up much, much higher than they should. So you have to consciously pull the front sight over on these guns to shoot them, and that's fine, but you have to really take some extra training and get used to doing that, and get used to doing in an emergency type situation, whereas on the Browning type angle, it's just point, see, point and shoot the gun, see where those sights are. They're going to come right back because I'm pointing my finger. So
Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. You know, Carrie, I think it's as important for you ladies to know how to use these firearms as it is for us men. But you know, there's something else. we can have firearms for defense of our homes and certainly for sport, but we also need information.
Yes, I agree. I think the New American Magazine is the best source of information available in this country.
Well, I would certainly agree. The New American Magazine is the truth and nothing but the truth. And friends, if you would like to know what is really going on in this country and around the world, if you want, in fact, the truth, well, you need to get the New American Magazine. So here's how to do it. You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE, and those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Now, friends, with your new Shootin' Show subscription, they will also send you a free copy of what the United Nations is bringing to all of us. So this is very important. Subscribe today. You know, friends, in times like these, which indeed are strange times, we certainly need our firearms, but we also need the information about what's really going on. Order today. Well, friends, we have some information I think you'll want to write down. We have a new phone system here for the program. For our health club number, you can call us at 1-800-648-0129. Again, 1-800-648-0129, and that is code 33. Now, there's something else that we're offering through our health club, and this is, I think, the best book on drug use, on what's happening in our society that I've ever seen. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, it does have the terminologies.
Okay, well, this book, show them that, please, ma'am, if you would. This book's entitled Drugs Are Taking Our Kids, and says our kids aren't just taking drugs, drugs are taking our kids. And this is, I think, the best book I have seen on this. This is by Tracy Brown, Ph.D., and also Mimi Lowry, who is an LPN. She was a nurse. And I tell you what, this is just a terrific thing that we're offering through our health club. So you can call the health club 800 number. Any correspondence on the health club, you can call us 1-800-648-0129. That's code 33. Now, we also have a new shooting show phone number. You may want to write this down. Area 318-682-4218. Again, 318-682-4218. If you want to get a message to our shooting show office. Now then, for advertisement and general all-around use, you can talk to Bobby, our advertising director, at 1-800-728-8486. That's 1-800-SAVE-YOU-GUN. Again, 1-800-728-8486 for anything regarding advertising or other things in that area. So we really do recommend. This is an excellent book. Drugs Are Taking Our Kids. And if you really want to know how what's really happening, huh, Catherine?
That's right.
And she's read the book, and certainly it is just excellent. So a little information we thought we'd give you.
Now, friends, you know I'm a big fan of the 625 with the 45 ACP revolver here. But as we've talked about before, when Smith & Wesson, an engineer at Smith & Wesson, came up with the concept of using the clips, such as this full moon clip here, originally they were half moon clips for the military, and head spacing, so you could shoot the semi-automatic rimless cartridge in the revolver. Remington came along with a rimmed cartridge that was the same dimensions, except it had a rim on it of the 45 ACP. Now, friends, this is the 45 ACP that a lot of us are familiar with. Well, let me show you the alternative there, and this is, in fact, the 45 Auto Rim cartridge. Now, this was so you could shoot the 45 cartridge without the clip in the 1917 type revolver. Well, the good news is this is a prototype load that Corbon is working with us on a new high-performance 45 Auto Rim, and hopefully we'll have these shortly. But this is a very efficient cartridge. You can actually get some Magnum type velocities just because you have so much bearing surface on the wider bullet there, say than the 357, for the powder to make pressure against. Now, some other things I think you might find interesting. We ran into a brass and cartridge company, or a brass company actually, from Searcy, Arkansas, over at the Dallas Gun Show this past weekend,
And they have, we got some 45 auto rim brass from them, and also they have available now some Schofield brass for the new Smith & Wesson copies, which actually would shoot a 45 Colt. This is a 45 Colt here, and this is a Schofield. They appear to be identical except for cartridge length, and I think this is exciting because there are quite a number of those old Schofield guns out there that shot the original cartridge, and now you can reload for the black powder or the Western type matches with the original size cartridge case. This also might not be a bad idea anyway, because the shorter case here is going to be more efficient, say, than the longer case. In the typical 45 Colt loads, you have a lot of airspace there in the cartridge, and it seemed to me like the Schofield would be a real efficient alternative to 45 Colt loads. You could really have some fun experimenting there with this new cartridge that is new to a lot of us. It's an old cartridge, so we thought we would pass that along to you. So this is rather exciting. Let's take a look at how this works, and let me show you what I did. I had some 185 grain bullets, and to shoot in this revolver case here, I wanted, there's no crimping groove or cannelure on the standard 45 semi-automatic pistol bullet here, so took my Corbin cannelure tool, made myself a cannelure, and so that revolver loading is going to stay put even with heavier loads. The cannelure helps you can crimp the mouth of the cartridge into it on the revolver load, so that bullet will stay where it's supposed to.
Now, friends, let's shoot one of these water bottles with what has been the standard 45 auto rim loading, the factory loading that there's still some of them out there, but let's just show you the performance level that they had for all these years. Okay, got a leak in our water bottle. Now then, let me show you our prototype load that Corbin's working on for us. And yes, I have some of them here, some prototypes of our new high performance 45 auto rim cartridge. Let's see so we can see the difference. Yes, I'd say there's somewhat of a dramatic difference there. Again, friends, I'm a fan of this grand old cartridge, the 45 auto rim. And yes, HKS, believe it or not, makes a speed loader for these things. You don't want to fool with the clips, well, this would be a real nice way to go. In fact, you may, for those of us that want to shoot 2 or 3 rounds, maybe you see a snake or something out in the woods and you don't want to load the whole clip. Well, the rimmed cartridge is definitely the way to go, and you could keep the full moon clips as a backup for a speed reload, because nothing loads faster than those clips. However, HKS does make a speed loader. They're very high quality speed loaders there for the 45 auto rim cartridge. And standard thing, just put them in place there and turn and your gun's loaded. So that's an awfully good thing that, heck, I didn't even know they made these until a while back, and yes, they do. They've had them for a long time now. So that's something we're going to have fun with, is the new 45 auto rim cartridge. Yes. It's going to be fun. And friends, for those of you interested in ordering brass, this is the Blue Star Cartridge and Brass Company there in Searcy, Arkansas. And that number, of course, you can see it there, 501-268-6443. And they do have the Schofield brass and a tremendous amount of other brass in stock there, and they seem like very nice people. That's Blue Star Cartridge and Brass in Searcy, Arkansas, 501-268-6443.
Well, friends, we hope you're enjoying our program. We're certainly happy to be here with you, my esteemed colleague Leroy Scott, and yours truly. Sir, how you doing?
Well, I guess I'm okay. I'm still kind of tired from Saturday.
Well, over the weekend we went to the Dallas gun show there, and it was, tell you what, attendance was terrific, didn't you think?
Well, I thought attendance was way up. You had to push your way through people.
And we do appreciate those folks that stopped and said hello to us. Saw several of our viewers over there at the gun show. We always appreciate meeting our viewers whenever we go out to some public place like that. We really do appreciate your sentiments. Well, sir, we have something we want to show. The judge and I went down to testify at the Criminal Justice Committee for the House of Representatives here this past week.
It's the Louisiana House of Representatives.
Yes, in fact, the Louisiana House of Representatives, and we've got a little bit of tape footage of yours truly. We also have a very fine piece there when you were talking, trying to make some sense. You know, Judge, what really impressed me, the people on the panels. Now, these folks, these are the people who literally decide whether a bill gets out to be voted on by the full House. And you have these committee meetings that, in fact, you can go to and testify. You just have to find out when they are. But what's so important about that, the people on these panels are just regular people. And on firearms issues and a lot of other things too, but especially on gun issues, they may not know very much. And believe me, if we don't show up, if someone who knows something about these issues won't show up and plead our case and explain to them what this is about, you can bet you the other side, the anti-gun people, they will show up, won't they?
Oh, yes, they'll show up, Johnny. I've been doing this for about 30 years now. And it's very, very important that the pro-gun people have a showing. Now, it happens that Shreveport is about as far from Baton Rouge as you could get and still stay in the state of Louisiana. And so it makes it very inconvenient because they always schedule these things for 9 o'clock in the morning. And that means getting away from here by about 4:30 and still getting down there just in time. Actually, and I have raised this issue with Louisiana Shooting Association many times, and the Baton Rouge Rifle and Pistol Club, they're the ones that ought to have people there. Because there is just a case of going across town to the state capitol.
Well, they did have some folks down there from that local area. I saw some in attendance. But it is so important, friends, because we have to keep track of when these things are. Because, you know, we were down there discussing a concealed carry law for the state of Louisiana. And it turned into, rather than a concealed carry debate, you had some anti-gun flea brains show up and, you know, just absolutely just knuckleheads. And they're trying to make an anti-gun statement before the panel, and it's outrageous. And they're not above line, are they, Judge?
No, they're very bad about not sticking to the truth, and they don't have statistics to back up what they claim. That's what I did a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago now. When I went down there, I had about 150, 175-page brochure that I'd put together, the first 20 pages of which were setting forth facts, but it was heavily footnoted, and the rest of it was support and authorities for what I was telling them. It's discouraging to me that people get down there claiming to represent, say, the Medical Association, when in fact I doubt very seriously the Medical Association has acted on the proposals, and claim that, and the most preposterous claim that was made, the one that almost brought me up out of my chair.
Yes, sir. I thought you were going to grab that lady by the collar and tell her, I don't know, just tell her to clear her throat, get her brain back somewhere, because she said something that was ludicrous to one of the anti-gun people. I thought
she
Judge
said
was
it.
going.
Her specific statement was that a handgun in the home is 40-some-odd times more likely to be used to injure one of the people that live in the house than it is to be used for self-protection or for getting rid of burglars or crime or what have you.
Well, that's a lie.
Yes, it is. It ignores the Kleck research that was done. And as I mentioned to the panel, Dr. Kleck and Dr. Wright from Tulane University were commissioned by the Carter administration to come up with facts and figures on showing the danger of handguns and in an effort to try to support some of their gun control measures. I remember when Carter was elected president that one of his chief supporters said that in a year the National Rifle Association would be out of business. Well, they and Carter are all out of business, and National Rifle Association is stronger than ever.
You know, friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Give them a call, 1-800-345-6923, a very inexpensive subscription price. Again, 1-800-345-6923.
Subscribe today.
Now, friends, you can see Catherine is standing here holding a 12-gauge shotgun. In fact, she's not holding it. The Tri-Tote has it in safe and secure fashion there. So, Catherine, show us how you can immediately take the gun out of the Tri-Tote for use if you need it. And this is such a tremendous invention here, this Tri-Tote. Let's show you how it works.
Get your hands off that gun, bow, or fishing rod. Holding onto your equipment while you're going through the woods or climbing a hill is fatiguing and possibly dangerous. The versatile Tri-Tote all-season carrier is easy to use. You never have to drill a hole in your fine gun stock. And the Tri-Tote can be set up for your specific needs in a jiffy. Just follow the illustrated instructions and free demo video enclosed. There you are, hands-free, yet ready to shoot in an instant. Hunting and fishing have never been more enjoyable. With Tri-Tote, your equipment is secure and your hands are free to support yourself or carry other gear. How did you ever get along without Tri-Tote? Make this year's hunting and fishing the best ever. To order your Tri-Tote at this special TV price, call toll-free 1-800-231-1443. That's 1-800-231-1443.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Now, understand, I don't think the National Rifle Association is always correct. In fact, they are frequently wrong. But they're wrong in detail. They're not wrong in principle. Dr. Kleck and Dr. Wright both found, as a result of real scholarly work, that guns were used about 2.5 million times a year to prevent crime, not necessarily having been fired, most of them not having been fired, as the lady that testified, and you'll see it on the program.
In fact, why don't let's run an example of that right now and show, let's just get this lady's story, an actual case of a lady who defended not only herself and some of her friends with a handgun. Let's do that now.
My name is E. Peggy Landry, and I'm from New Orleans. I support the concealed carry bill because I felt if I wouldn't have had a weapon, then I might not be here today to talk to you all and tell you what happened. 3 of my friends also were in jeopardy. I felt our life was threatened. We had gone out after Girls State meeting, which is American Legion Auxiliary, and we decided we'd go up to Rick's Pancake House on the corner of Jeanette and South Carrollton. And we went into the restaurant, and on the way out, one of my friends fell, who was 82 years old. And as we were picking her up, we noticed a car on South Carrollton Avenue. And we just didn't pay too much attention because my friend was really in pain. We wanted to take her to the hospital. She didn't want to go, so we took her to the car. The car was facing the river on Jeanette Street. And as we did, we put her in the front seat of the car. One friend got in the back of the car, back of the driver. I got behind the engine lady. All of a sudden, I heard the driver say, "Get out of here, get out of here, what are you doing?" Immediately, I knew there was trouble. I looked up, and I saw a black man with a gun at her head. I reached down in my purse. I was in the car, reached down in my purse, pulled out my .38 Smith & Wesson. He said, "Give me your money, give me your purse, your jewelry, this is a robbery, I have a gun." And I said, "Guess what? I've got one too." And I was like this far away from him. He knew he had the gun pointed at my friend's head, at her temple. He knew if he killed her that I was going to shoot him and put all 5 bullets in him. And I decided, well, I said, God, give me the strength to do the right thing. So when he turned around and he left, I knew not to shoot this man in the back. I knew it was the right thing to do. My life was no longer in jeopardy when he was fleeing and running. Had I not had that weapon, all 4 of us might be dead today. So I support the concealed carry bill, and I hope as a grandmother you will think of all the ladies and the late grandchildren out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Landry.
Well, I think that shows the situation, Johnny, and I can tell you that a handgun by my bedside table, it has a 0 possibility of being used to hurt anyone in the home, and has a 100% possibility of being used to take care of an intruder, someone who has no business being there. As I said, I have a concealed weapons permit. It's expired. I'm supposed to go down and pick up my renewal today, but that doesn't mean I carry a gun all the time.
Well, in fact, let's get you in front of the committee, and let's get that piece now. The judge was speaking to the committee panel right here, and we'll just get that story.
The CLEC study indicated that approximately 2.5 million times a year guns are used to prevent crime, and this exceeds by a factor of about 15 times the number of times handguns are used in the commission of crime. I have a concealed weapons permit. I have it from Caddo Parish. That doesn't mean I carry a gun all the time. It means no such thing. But it means that I can, when I think that it's appropriate, do that. When I leave my office at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night and go to a darkened garage, yes, I have a handgun. I don't usually conceal it. I usually carry it in my hand because I want somebody to know that I have it. I don't want to have to surprise them.
Well, as I said, I don't carry a concealed weapon all the time. Frequently, I don't carry a concealed weapon at all. When I'm leaving my office at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, as I sometimes do, I carry a handgun into a darkened garage. And incidentally, we found out somebody's car was stolen from there this weekend.
My goodness, in the building where your office is?
In the building where my office is. And as I said, I usually carry it in my hand. I want it visible because I don't want to have to surprise somebody.
Let them know well in advance.
I want them to know in advance what they're running into, because the chances are they leave me alone then. Either that or go ahead and shoot me first. But they better get a hit the first time, because after that they're in serious trouble. Well, I have faxes from the NRA and also from GOA this week. And my NRA faxes come in on the weekend, and this is a Monday, so you usually have a pretty fresh one. The thing the NRA is worried about right now is that we've had a majority of the House of Representatives vote to do away with the so-called gun ban, the Clinton gun ban, actually the Feinstein gun ban.
Right.
But that's not really a gun ban. I can still buy what they call an assault weapon. I can still acquire a high-capacity magazine. I just have to make sure, or the seller has to make sure, they were made prior to the effective date of the crime bill legislation, which incidentally Clinton delayed about 2 weeks to sign, which if that was all that important legislation and wanted to stop that, he could have signed it sooner. In the meanwhile, the manufacturers of semi-automatic rifles and high-capacity magazines were running for
24 hours a day.
3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. And there's such a backlog of those things, they'll never run out of them. But anyhow, the House of Representatives majority, mostly Republicans, but a lot of Democrats, incidentally, a lot of Republicans voted against the repeal of the gun ban. But a majority of the House voted in favor of repealing the gun ban, and they are catching all manner of flack from the liberal media. Now, I don't know how you viewers view the media, but I think that they are heavily biased in the liberal persuasion.
Oh, it's been proven time and time again, the organized media is liberal to the core.
Well, even the ones that are claimed to be semi-conservative are really liberal to the core. Al Hunter, the Wall Street Journal, called the vote a blatant payoff to the gun lobby. Well, that's not really true. Those people were elected because of the way they felt.
That's right.
The gun lobby supported people who felt the same way that we did. It wasn't a payoff to us. It was a case of getting the right people elected in the first place.
Well, and they say the gun lobby. Wait a minute, friends. The gun lobby is you and me. The gun lobby is us.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
All of us as gun owners, people that believe we have a right to have these, the people think the firearms industry is real big. It's not. It's not a huge industry. It is not a massive. The firearms, the gun companies all put together wouldn't even put one floor of offices for General Motors. It's not a huge industry. This is not. Now, some of the government contractors are pretty big, but the gun lobby itself, as far as industrially speaking, is not a large industry. It's really not.
Now, they're talking about you and me.
That's right.
It's a payoff to the gun lobby in that sense because it's the way I voted, and I vote that way because that's the way my representative speaks and talks and acts, and so he has my support, he or she. But the papers are really up in arms, the editorial writers, and we encourage, NRA is encouraging you to support, to attend upcoming town meetings, some of which will be held during the Easter recess, and talk to pro-gun lawmakers and let them know that they've got your support.
You bet you.
That is the important thing because they are representatives. They are not free agents, although every now and then they act that way. But they're not free agents. They're your representatives, and your thought controls, to a large extent, what they do.
Something very important, what we're talking about here. Friends, we saw evidence of it again last week down at the where we testified. The anti-gun people, these people don't live in reality. They're living in some fantasy world. And here's the problem. They cannot be reasoned with. They're not logical. And this is a problem. You can show up with all the reasonable statements. You can show up with all the proof you want to. They don't care. They're not going to listen. They have to be. There's only one way to deal with them. That is defeat them. They cannot be reasoned with. We have to outnumber them. Don't you agree?
Well, we do outnumber them. We just need to make our voices known.
Absolutely.
The NRA Facts also points out that Chuck Schumer may be leaving the House of Representatives.
Boy, could we be so fortunate?
Well, no, we're not going to be that fortunate because he'd have to defeat a Republican governor of New York because that's what he wants to run for, governor of New York. He's amassed a $3 million campaign war chest and is trying to collect together support. I wish somebody run against him for Congress. That's what somebody needs to do. Put that booger to work trying to keep his job. We really need to get rid of Chuck Schumer. Also, as a police president of the D.C.'s Black Police Caucus, and a front page story in the Washington Post says that gun control hadn't worked in the District of Columbia. That the only people that have guns are criminals.
Fancy that.
They've got the strictest gun laws in the nation and one of the highest murder rates. He said it's quicker to pull your Smith & Wesson than it is to dial 911.
The man has sense.
Yes, he does have sense. And we're saying it's time for city leaders to realize that what the police rank and file think has long known, and they have long known, that gun control doesn't work. It turns citizens into easy prey. And of course that's what happened in Florida when they gave their concealed weapons permit down there. They picked on, right away the criminals started picking on tourists who were driving rent cars because they knew they probably weren't armed.
Yep.
What they don't know, and what I want to tell you, is that you can get a concealed weapons permit in Florida without having to be a resident of Florida. All you have to do is contact them and let them know that's what you want. Now, the concealed weapons permit we've got going in Louisiana, statewide permit, has a reciprocity agreement in it so that if another state recognizes Louisiana's, then Louisiana will recognize theirs as long as they have the same measure of strictness and training and so forth that goes with it. And there is a measure of training. It's not excessive. It's not as bad as Texas.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. You know, friends, it's rare in any field of manufacture that one particular company has a clear-cut advantage over the others. Well, in this case, it's Corbin Ammunition, Corbin Bullet Company, because they make the best handgun, long gun, and even some specialty caliber ammunition that's been real hard to get in the past. If you really want your handgun or rifle to perform at their absolute best, you need to find some Corbin ammunition. For information on where you can get Corbin, information on their product line, call them. Corbin Bullet Company, 1-800-626-7266. Again, give them a call. It's a free call, 1-800-626-7266. Trust me on this one. Corbin is the best there is.
If you are a boater or a birder, if you ever carry a camera, Bi-Tote is for you. It is the most comfortable binocular and camera carrier on the market today. And its all-elastic quick change feature makes it possible to switch from one piece of equipment to another without missing a beat. If you think that carrying binoculars or cameras is a pain in the neck, try Bi-Tote. For the first time, your equipment will feel almost weightless, and you'll be free of that annoying swinging and bouncing which is hard on your body as well as the equipment, especially when you're negotiating rough terrain or on a pitching boat. One hand for you, one hand for the boat, and Bi-Tote for your binoculars or camera. They'll be ready for you instantly, held firmly in position. They're always there, not buried in a locker or other out-of-the-way place. And the Bi-Tote is totally adjustable for a custom fit. All necessary adapters and complete instructions are included with your Bi-Tote. How did you ever get along without it?
We are hoping to get a statewide concealed weapons permit through in this special session of the legislature. Again, Gun Owners of America. I didn't give their telephone number last time. It is area code 703-321-8585. If you'll call them, they'll put you on that fax network. Now, the NRA says that the terror bill has been fixed. GOA says it hadn't been fixed. And the thing is that GOA is more in the purest sense than NRA is. So they sent a fax, recent fax, to give us ammunition to show exactly what it is that's still wrong with the terrorism bill. All right, in the terror bill, as the House passed it, there are excess or enhanced penalties for gun owners who commit any crime, even a nonviolent crime, and if they possess a laser sighting device, that doesn't mean with them, it just says possess it, the penalty is much greater. Sherma has introduced an amendment that passed to centralize law enforcement activities, and that is again violating what I believe in putting additional power in the hands of government. Government can create a lot of mischief, and the more power they have, the more mischief they can create. The BATF, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms, has been authorized to study ammunition and recommend which kinds should be included under the armor-piercing ban, and that means all rifle ammunition.
Literally, folks. I mean, they're coming after us. These people will not be satisfied until even guns like this single-action revolver, even this, they're not going to be satisfied until everything that goes bang is taken away from us. They cannot stand the concept that we may be able to defend ourselves against a criminal or whatever else. They cannot deal with it. Speaking of that, what about, because I know we have people wondering what your feeling is about what's going on in Montana now after the Waco fiasco and the Ruby Ridge thing. Of course, now these folks are under, I guess, would you call that under siege? They're certainly on a standoff up there with the FBI.
Well, in a standoff, and the FBI has gotten a little bit more reasonable about what they're doing, because right now all they're doing is watching and waiting. But I don't want to talk about that for a minute. I want to continue to talk about this terror bill. They have increased the budget for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms by $100 million a year. That's one with 8 zeros behind it in dollars per year. That's rewarding them for their misdeeds at Ruby Ridge, at Waco, and for their general harassment of lawful gun owners. They have a provision in it to get the BATF off the hot seat as far as any subsequent situation like Ruby Ridge occurs. They call it a Randy Weaver entrapment provision. They've increased the statutory period of limitations, statute of limitations, to 5 years instead of 3 years relating to firearms. And I see no reason why it ought to be any different from any other crime. They still authorize roving wiretaps. This wiretap provision is a blatant invasion of privacy. That enables the FBI, the BATF, government in general, to conduct fishing expeditions to get a person's financial, travel records, wiretaps on their telephones, and everything else when they haven't done anything, or there's no reasonable grounds for thinking they've done anything. There's a Western Union number. Let me give you that. Western Union, 1-800-651-1486. That's 651-1486. If you call Western Union at that number for $8.95, they will send a wire to your senators and to your representative. You don't even need to know who the senators are or the representatives are, because Western Union already knows that. And if you'll order postcards, and unfortunately I dragged my feet and didn't get them ordered in time, but I tried to call GOA to do it, and their lines were busy, so apparently the fax is working. We think that the House and Senate will vote on the final version of the Conference Committee report on terrorism bill during the week of April 15th after the Easter recess. Now,
so it needs to be contacted now.
Yeah, right now.
Right now.
Seriously, though, Johnny, the terrorism bill doesn't do anything. It doesn't make anything, any significant thing illegal that wasn't already illegal. It's already illegal to kill people. It's already illegal to blow up buildings. It's already illegal to derail trains. The terrorism bill is an invasion of privacy that the American people should not stand for, and we should be raising all manner of Cain about it. Now, about the question you asked about Montana. I don't know that I know enough about what's happened up in Montana to be able to intelligently report, but I do notice that the FBI is being a good bit more reasonable. They aren't going in and assaulting the place. They aren't using military tactics or armored vehicles or anything like that, which is what they used at Waco and what they used at Ruby Ridge. And there's no shooting going on, no sniping going on, no ladies with babies in arms being killed. But I noticed that the head of the Montana militia, MOM, Montana
Militia of Montana,
says, please don't get your paddle in the water. just don't come up there. Or if you do come up there, don't bring your guns. We're not trying to force a confrontation with the government. We're trying to get this thing resolved peacefully, and I think that's a very mature way of looking at it. It's gotten enough publicity now so that the proceedings, the subsequent proceedings, will be carefully watched by a lot of different groups, and you can rest assured there will be plenty of voices heard about what happens to those people and the reasonable grounds for it. Now, as I understand it, what happened was people up there couldn't pay their taxes or didn't pay their taxes. Property got sold for taxes. You know, the different states handle that in different ways. In Louisiana, if you don't pay your taxes, property's going to be sold the next year. In Texas, you can not pay your taxes 4, 5, 6 years before they get around to sending you a bill for the whole amount. In any event, apparently up there, either taxes weren't paid or the mortgage wasn't paid, and the property was sold at a foreclosure sale, and the people that bought it at foreclosure sale want the property so they can use it for agricultural purposes, and the people that are there are refusing to surrender it.
Well, we'll certainly watch anxiously. I know a lot of us will, on how this thing goes, and there may be a resolution, in fact, before our show airs. This is Monday as we're taping this for our first Sunday broadcast. So, well, friends, stay tuned. We've got a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot going on, and we're darn sure going to keep you apprised of it.
Be active, be vigilant, do what you have to do to protect your rights, and remember that if you don't vote, you don't really have the right to complain about what happens. That's it, Johnny.
Friends, what do Jim Clark Sr., K. Clark Michalik, Jerry Michalik, and Jim Clark Jr. have in common? You can find them all at Clark Custom Guns in Princeton, Louisiana, one of the finest custom gun shops in the entire country. They offer all sorts of custom packages on 1911s and other semi-automatics, from race guns to custom carry guns. They also offer a bushing for your 1911, which will greatly increase the accuracy. They also offer a number of different custom packages for the Ruger 1022, and also have some very economically priced new 1022s in stock. Clark Custom Guns also has a good stock of Ruger Security 6s in blue and stainless at good prices. Clark Custom Guns offers some of the best revolver packages available anywhere, including action jobs on your Smith & Wesson or some other fine revolvers. In addition to custom work, they also have a completely stocked gun shop, anything from bullets to powder to accessories that you might want. Clark Custom Guns has one of the finest range facilities in the entire country and offers some shooting classes. You need to call for availability. Friends, it's certainly good for the shooting show, but good for yourselves when you call and get a Clark Custom Guns catalog. They have all sorts of things listed about their products and services and excellent prices. Give them a call. Area 318-949-9884. Again, 318-949-9884. Clark Custom Guns, the complete custom gun shop. Give them a call today. Tell them you saw it on the shooting show.